final edition of Bucks Weekly for the 2022 football season, 2022 and 3 sports season. I'm with Coach Austin Morgan, and the Bucks are coming off of a season finale defeat to a solid Miami East team, not this past Friday, but the Friday before. And they finished the regular season with a 2-6 record. So, Coach, can you talk about the last game of the year?
Yeah, it was a tough game. East is a heck of a team. It made us have to really step it up, and I was really proud of our kids for the toughness they showed. We had guys kind of get hurt here and there. Had guys have to move around different spots, and they handled it like champs. And just said so and now what, and responded, went out and fought. We had a lot of guys play some of their best games of all year. One that comes to mind right away is Derek Meyer. The way he played our outside linebacker spot was the best he's played at any game. It was awesome watching guys like him seeing that growth happen, and then it kind of reaches high point. And the old saying is, you want to play your best football at the end of the year, and I thought he was one of those guys that truly did that. And then our seniors as well too, they played phenomenal.
Well, and in that game, we started out really well. They got the ball first possession, we stopped them, and then our first possession, once we made the stop, we were forced to punt, and they blocked it, returned for a score. Then they kicked a pooch kick, recovered it, and then scored. So really, within a span of a minute and a half, they got 2 touchdowns, which was like a really momentum break for them. But still, our kids seemed to fight throughout the whole game.
Yeah, and those mistakes you mentioned, those are things that come with time, experience, and with our guys kind of being young this year, they were a little bit smaller than East, and so it was kind of a physical fight, which it was nothing that our kids didn't do. It was just they're not there yet. They need another year or so to get those things fixed, which I have full faith will do those kind of things.
Well, and there were some plays that we had. We had some pretty nice plays that could have really got us going offensively, but we had some untimely penalties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's things we got to get better at and keep fixing.
Okay, so when you look at the grand scheme of things, what kind of progression do kids make from week 1 to the last game of the season?
9-day difference. Oh my gosh! Looking at week 1, looking back at those, and this is almost an every year kind of thing. But this year, even more than normal. Week 1, we looked rough at times. There's times where all of the guys are on their own page and kind of doing different things, and just the execution was all over the place. And by the end of the year, especially week 10, you started seeing a lot of those things come together in one. So that was cool to see. And we look at it. The year's obviously over now, but it's a continuation next year because a lot of these guys are coming back. And so now they're going to be starting here versus where they were this year, and it's just the climb continues. So the path they're on is the right path. You might not have seen some of the things that you want to see yet, but it's coming.
A lot of credit, and we've talked about this throughout the year, how impressive DeAnthony, Bennett, and Brian Morrison were from a leadership standpoint, work ethic standpoint, all that throughout the year. What can you say about those kids?
They're freaking dogs, man. I have all the respect and love for those two because watching Brian and DeAnthony play, one, for example, we mentioned the character. Our quarterback went down, got hurt, King got hurt during the game. DeAnthony had to get stepped into a role where he hasn't played quarterback in, 6-7 weeks. Hasn't had much reps prepping for that. And so he got tossed and changed the role, and it changed everybody around. Nobody batted an eye, nobody flinched. Everyone just said, sure, so now what? I'll take it on. And they went and swung at it. So his toughness was on display all night long, and the way Brian Morrison ran the ball on Friday night was insane. He had some nice goal line touchdowns, but he put his nose down, put his head down, and just went downhill. So those guys, they were awesome to watch.
Okay, well, up next we will talk to the 2 seniors and kind of get their thoughts on their senior campaign. Welcome back to Bucks Weekly, the 2022-23 season, final edition of the football season. I'm here with seniors DeAnthony Bennett and Brian Morrison, and they both had a great year, great leadership throughout the season, showed toughness and all that. So DeAnthony, we'll start with you, DeAnthony, and Brian, you can answer the same question. If you look throughout the season, what is the biggest highlight in your your mind?
The second Bradford game, when I just thought we performed better, and it just showed that we were growing as a team. So I'd say that'd be the biggest highlight for me.
What about you, Brian?
I was gonna say the Bradford game. That was a really good game for us. I feel like we really showed our improvements for the games that we had to cancel, and I felt like the Bethel game because it kind of showed our toughness.
Those are good answers. So, what life lessons did football teach you? Life lessons from your perspective. What did you learn from football?
From football, I learned that you always got more left. Like you can always go harder than you think. There's always a next level to anything.
Brian?
I have to say just sticking to it. No matter what's going on, what you're facing, just sticking to what you're doing.
Okay, and both of you guys have left a pretty strong legacy. You know, we had low numbers in the leadership you guys provided. So, from a personal standpoint, what legacy that you left behind makes you most proud?
I would just have to say, just playing the right way, just doing what you're supposed to do, not trying to do somebody else's job for them, just trusting everybody else, doing what you're supposed to do.
For me, it'd be showing that you can change and just be better.
Okay, so what kind of message do you guys have for the 2023 Buccaneers?
Just do what you guys are doing. I mean, you guys have made a lot of progress. Community may not see it, but everyone that was on the team this year and everybody that's been around us have seen it. They've made so much progress, and I feel like if they just keep doing what they're doing, just sticking to what they're doing, they're going to be great.
Yeah, just off of what he said, just don't quit, keep playing. There's a lot of potential in those kids, and they're young, so they just don't look at this year as oh, this is how we're going to be for the next 2 years. Just keep going, keep trying.
Well, I'll tell you what, you guys are an inspiration. The toughness you guys showed, the leadership you showed, and I really hope you guys come back. You know, even though you're graduating, you guys are still part of the program. Hopefully you guys come back and encourage these kids as they, because the success they have is going to be attributed to you guys. Up next, we will talk again with Coach Morgan and kind of get a recap on this season. We're back with Coach Morgan on this edition of Bucks Weekly. And Coach, throughout the year, you have a philosophy that you're ingraining into the kids. It's work, or some of your values: work, tough, humble, loyal, and unselfish. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about how those kids lived up to those values, starting with work?
Yeah. So we call this our kind of our matrix here. I think human beings are all the same. We all believe something, which makes us behave a certain way, which produces a certain outcome. Whether you believe in being lazy, the behaviors will be shown if you believe in those things. If you believe in not whatever the negative might be, the behavior will show. So we try to do a really good job of breaking down our beliefs. They're not just something we put on Twitter or put on the walls. There's something that there's an actual standard that goes with that core value. So with all our standards, we have our belief, whatever our core value is, and a behavior that if you believe in this core value, here's how you show it. And then if you do that over and over again, there's an outcome that comes to that. So our first one you mentioned was work. So we believe in working. And the behavior to show that is we say play for 6. So the old analogy of the average full play lasts 4 to 6 seconds. So we want to play for 6 seconds. Not 5, not 4, not 4.5. We want to play as hard as possible for 6 seconds. And that's we ingrain that in the way we lift. We don't walk anywhere. If you want water, you sprint to get water because you just play for 6. If you want to go to the bathroom, you sprint to the bathroom. And in practice, we don't walk in the field. We sprint where we go. We play to the whistle blows for 6 seconds all the time. So that's behavior we show. So in order to show as coaches, it's hard to say, how do you show you want to work? Well, here for us is a clear way, play for 6. And we believe if you do that over and over and over and over and over again, the outcome is relentless. You just keep swinging nonstop, right? So that's our first core value is work. And our second one is tough.
And the kids really, I mean, if you look at toughness, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, yeah.
You go back to the very beginning of the season, we started out with 22 kids. And you look at the competition we played throughout the year and the low numbers we had and the fact that we only lost one kid. Mm-hmm. Only one kid left. Now, granted, we had kids that were out with injuries, but to lose one kid out of 22,
yeah,
that's unbelievable.
Yeah. These kids are special. We've had this all before. They're special kids that are willing to do that kind of work. Because what we ask these kids to do is not normal. Right? I mean, we have high standards. We push the man and ask them to do a lot of stuff, and it's hard. I mean, there's no way around it. It's hard. But I think if you want to be good, there's a behavior that follows that, which is why we do what we do, kind of thing. Our second core value is tough, and there's a lot of ways you can show toughness. And when we talk about toughness, there is a physical side of it, like actually being strong in the weight room. But we try to focus more on the mental side of it. To us, we look at toughness as having positive body language. Because I don't know about you, but I don't like getting up early. I'm like it's hard, which is why I force myself to do it because it's something that's tough, and we try to force our kids in our program get up early, wake up. So getting up, having that positive body language when it's hard to, when you're tired, when you don't feel good, when you're mad, when you're upset, having positive body language. We use the analogy of if you watch a UFC or an MMA fight, you don't see guys walk into the ring or the octagon with bad body language. Look at their butt kicked, right? They're coming in, they're juiced up, they're jumping up and down. You can tell they're mentally and physically ready to go. And so we want our kids to have the same kind of look to them. No matter what the circumstances is, you have positive body language. If you get punched in the face, step right back up, next play. If you make mistakes, so what, now what, next play. You should never see us go down because that's a lack of toughness. And for us, if we believe the same thing, the belief, behavior, outcome model, we believe in toughness. We show it by having positive body language, and the outcome is you're fight ready. You can handle whatever life throws at you. You can handle things even outside of football. I think if you're tough, you can handle, because life throws adversity to everybody. You can handle anything, whether you lose a loved one, whether your girlfriend dumps you, whatever it might be. Toughness in football can be translated to toughness in life, and I think tough people always win. So that's a big belief and behavior of our core values there too. Next we have is it's unselfish. And I've said it a couple times already, our beliefs unselfish, our behavior is don't flinch. And this one's changed over time. We did some reflections after our first year, and we changed it to don't flinch for unselfish, because I think one of the most unselfish things there is when you care about somebody, you tell them the truth. It's really easy to just say, oh yeah, everything's fine, and no problem, or to avoid the hard talks because it makes you feel better, because you don't want to have that difficult conversation with somebody and maybe they snap back at you, right? So we say, in order to show you're unselfish to the team, if there's a problem, whether it be you didn't sprint somewhere, you didn't touch that line, you didn't show up, we don't flinch. We just say it right away. There should be no, should I say it? Should I not say it? Should I hold them accountable? Should I not hold them accountable? You just don't flinch, just do it. And it's kind of become a standard of we don't hold back, and it's not meant to be a negative thing or berate somebody. It's just say, I care a lot about you, and I want to see you do the best you can do. So therefore, if I love and care for you, I'm going to make sure you do what's necessary. Yeah, and so that's our unselfish behavior. And our next one was humble. And with humble, my definition of what humble is you know what you're good at, know what you're bad at. We all have different strengths, weaknesses, things I'm good at, things I'm bad at as a coach. Our players have things they're good at, things they're not as good at either. And as a human being, you should always be seeking to get better and improve. And our behavior for humble is to seek feedback. Whether it be every rep, hey, did I do that right? Did I take the right step? You watch film, you try to get better. When you're lifting, even You have a partner that's giving you feedback. Hey, you're not clean. You can get your elbows a little higher. Hey, you can get a little deeper in your squat. But you're trying to get the feedback constantly. One of the biggest ways to shut feedback down is when you get the feedback, is to defend yourself. Oh, no, I'm right. Don't tell me that. And so we try to avoid all that stuff and just say, give me the feedback. That should always be your mindset is, I want more feedback. Whether you agree or disagree with it, just constantly ask for that feedback. And the outcome you see is growth. When you see teams constantly ask for feedback, watching film, asking coaches, asking teammates, what can I do to be better? And they just do that over and over and over and over again, the growth you see is crazy. And I think that's a big separator of success is, do you want the feedback? Because there's times where, I'll be honest, sometimes I don't want it either. But if you want to be good at what you do, you got to get the feedback. And sometimes it's not what you want to hear. That's a big one for us, being humble. And our last one that we added this year, again, last off season as a staff, we kind of sat down and talked a lot about where does our program need to go, what's the direction going forward, and what are some issues we need to address. And the big one was loyal. A big thing for us in the off season, I think that's a big separator of programs throughout, not just Ohio, but just anywhere, any sport, any program, is what do you do in the off season? What do you put into the off season? And I thought last year we didn't get as much as we probably should have had. I thought that was a big area of growth that this program needed, was having guys show up all the time. So we sat and talked about it. We decided loyal was a value that we needed to add to our program. And when we sat down and discussed what do loyal people do, and as you're going through that thought process of what do loyal people do, I try to think of who are the most loyal people that I know in my life. People like my family, my parents, my wife, and what do they always do to show they're loyal? They always show up. They're always there. If you need something, they're there for you. So that's how we show loyalty, is if you care about somebody and you want to be there for them and you want to be loyal to somebody, you always show up. And if you know, for football in our program, it's coming to 6 a.m. lifts, being at practice, no excuses, you're always here. And I think it's a behavior that you can carry with you through your whole life. And hopefully all our kids go out and have great lives, get married, have a family, whatever we're going to do. And if you want to be a great husband, you better show up for your wife, right? If you want to be a great dad, you show up for your kids. If you want to be great at what you do, and for those around you, you show up, which is why we added that. And the outcome for that is together. I think you look at any great organization, team, family, you name it. If they're great, they're loyal, and they're always there for each other. So I know that's a lot, and I kind of went through all that stuff there. But these are things we talk about with our kids every single day. We do we call it skull sessions. We have a 30-minute block where we talk about leadership, culture, character development, and there's a slideshow that has everything I just said, from the core values, belief, behavior, the outcome on there. And we hammer this every single day because it's something that I think elite people have. That they do it consistently. They show up and they show these beliefs by how they behave. Because you can say what you want, I'm tough, I work. You can say I'm loyal. That's great. Now show it. How do you behave? And I think it's where a lot of programs miss, is they say they put on Twitter, they put on Instagram, and they make a shirt and it says work tough, whatever it might be, right? But kids are, they're kids. All kids are kids. You need to teach these kids how do you show toughness? How do you show work? How do you show loyalty? And there's how you do it. We have clear behaviors that are like black and white. Did you do it or did you not do it? There's no like up in the air. They're like, did you play for 6? No, that was for 5 seconds, not 6 seconds. We play for 6. That's work. So that's how we, with our culture, we just hammer those things consistently. And it's in the weight room. It's in our team meetings. It's in how we go to practice. It's in how we clean our locker room. It's in everything we do. And it has to be, because it can't be something you turn on and then you go do the opposite at home or the opposite in class. If you truly believe in those things, that's just who you are. Because how you doing things, how you do everything. So.
Those are great values, and more often than not, from my perspective, for outside looking in, a lot of the kids really follow those values.
That's awesome, man.
And 3 of the kids, we're going to talk to 3 of the underclassmen and kind of epitomize those values and believe in those values. And we'll be back with them in a second. We're back with BuccsWeekly with the underclassmen. We have Dalen Garrett, who's a freshman. Garrett Leistner is a sophomore, and Mason Epperson is a freshman. So the first question, guys, that I have for you is what kind of growth did each one of you experience throughout the season, individually and also as a team, if you want to express that?
Definitely like everybody adjusting to playing with not many seniors, but like definitely bigger people than you. As a freshman, you're not like really, you don't feel ready for it, but you kind of just have to adjust. Also with the low numbers, so like you just kind of have to adapt.
My biggest growth this year was slowing the game down, really learning how every position moves, and finding a key where I can go in and make a play on it. I think the biggest growth for the team this year was just coming together, working in the weight room, especially off season. A lot of us achieved new PR goals in the weight room. That was huge for us.
My biggest growths were catching punts, because like at the beginning of the year I'd drop a couple, then by the time it came to the end of the year I was catching like 9 out of 10. Then my second biggest growth is like the weight room. Like I wasn't lifting that much at the beginning of the season, and towards the end of the season I was hitting like big weights.
Okay, so what are your guys' goals throughout the off-season in preparation for 2023?
I feel like I want like the team that I'm going to be playing with to like get in the weight room, and if it's like not considering football, I mean at least with the sports you're in on the off season, like get lifts in, and I mean if there's no lifts in your sport, just find the lifts in football.
I want to slow down offense just as much as I did defense. I want to bring my offensive playmaking up to my defensive.
I want like all of us as a whole like get along way better than we did this year. Like I want to be more into everything. Like instead of us being separated into like grades, like the freshmen sticking to freshmen, I want like everyone to be together.
Great, guys. That's really good answers. Good luck in the off season and getting ready for 2023. Up next, we'll close out this session of Bucks Weekly with Coach Morgan and the 2022-23 season. We're back to close out this edition of Bucks Weekly with the Covington coach Austin Morgan. And Coach, it was your second season at the helm, and the program took a step forward. So what are these kids? We're only losing 2 seniors. Mm-hmm. We got a nice group of 8th graders coming in. What do these kids need to do to take the program to the next level?
Yeah, the kids just need to do what they're doing right now. I think it starts with us as coaches. We look at it, I mentioned earlier, we preach humble, and it starts with us. We spend a ton of time as a staff in the off-season, clinics, meetings. We travel around to other practices. I'm constantly on the phone with some other coach somewhere asking what do they do, how do they do this. Just to see what can we do better, how can we improve ourselves, and constantly seek feedback to improve. That's a big one. But I think a lot of the kids, it's for the kids, I mean, they're doing all the right stuff. They're showing up, they're working, and it needs to continue doing that. And then if you want to be elite, just crank up a little more. Just keep finding ways to improve, keep finding ways to work a little harder, show up a little more often, it might be. But I think it starts with the coaches. I think we have a staff right now that's really committed. We have a phenomenal staff of guys who want to get better, who want to improve. And so they'll put a ton of time in the offseason to better themselves, and then kind of go from there and seeing how we can better coach these kids, if there's any way to teach something better, make it easier on them, because I think they're doing all the right stuff. Now it's on us to make sure we get them going the right way.
Well, and the one thing you guys do in off season is your 6 a.m. lifting, and when you look at it from a big picture perspective, mm-hmm. is my feeling is, but all my kids are graduated, but I would love to see my kids be able to have that opportunity to come in here at 6 o'clock in the morning, and this weight room, the facilities we have, it's not just the weights, but also you have a coaching staff that's willing to sacrifice their own time, get out of bed, and be here at 6 o'clock in the morning to work with these kids. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's awesome. Yeah,
I'll tell you what, I'm grateful for that. There's not a lot of programs that will have coaches that will do that. Our coaches are phenomenal. They get up and they come here all the time, and I've never had to ask them to do it. They just do it.
Well, you look at Andy Whiteman as a good example. I mean, he runs his own business.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets up, comes in here at 6 o'clock in the morning early to make sure he's here when the kids get here at 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got to go work, not only just an 8-hour day, but there's sometimes I drive by his business and he's out there at 10 o'clock at night working, cranking out shirts.
Yeah, that's why I feel lucky here to have a bunch of guys like that, like Andy and Coach Honeycutt, Coach Miller, Coach Walker, all these guys. That there's all of them, man. They're great because that's kind of rare to have, I think. So, like you said, we great facilities here, weight room stuff. It's just a matter of showing up and working.
Okay, well that's it for this edition of Bucks Weekly and this edition for the football season. Buccaneers' future is extremely bright if the kids take advantage of it. All the opportunities are there for them to max out. So for Ben Robinson, Coach Austin Morgan, good night.
Go Bucks.